What's going on, everyone, and welcome back. Today I want to discuss my first impressions with Hell Is Us. So the developers were kind enough to send me a review key, so I played a lot of the game the past few days, and I want to talk about it. I've been following the game since they had the demo. I even did a video on the demo and if the demo was worth playing, and I found it all super interesting and different, especially because there is no mini-map or directions in this game. It doesn't hold your hand in any way, and I've really been enjoying that throughout playing the game. It's also extremely dark and intense and has horror elements, especially with the story, so I was very excited to finally get my hands on this game. I do have some qualms with it though that we'll get into in a little bit, but first, for those that don't know, Hell Is Us is a third-person action-adventure game where you try to discover the mysteries of your past while also trying to save the future by destroying these creatures that came with this mysterious calamity. My initial gut reaction for the first few hours of the game was a little confusing. I liked the world and everything that was going on with that, but something just felt off in terms of the pacing of the game. Maybe it was because I already knew the beginning few hours from the demo. I don't know, but once I got to like the third zone, everything started to click with the puzzles and the story and the narrative and everything. And I was really enjoying the game a lot more. It's definitely one of those games that I will actually probably end up 100%ing. And just to get the performance out of the way real quick, it ran pretty well on my PC with no crashes or anything major. But it is an Unreal Engine title, so there were FPS drops here and there. Pretty standard stuff for Unreal though, if you ask me. So yeah, Unreal hinders performance a bit, but what it shines at are the graphics. While the style of the game is pretty standard for Unreal, some of the set pieces like the massive tower or when entering this meadow of blue flowers are very impressive. It does a great job at making this somewhat empty world feel huge, even though it's not an open world game. It's more semi-open. You get to explore various zones within the world, and those zones aren't linear. You can go wherever you want. But to traverse zone to zone, you'll need to interact with the fast travel mechanic, which is going back to your APC and interacting with the map. This brings me to the atmosphere of the game. It's incredibly intense. It doesn't shy away from showing the horrors humans are capable of, even toward children. In Hadia, two groups, the Palanists and the Sabinians, are locked in a brutal civil war, and at first, you might think the real danger comes from these creatures that are roaming on the land. But a lot of the worst horrors in this game actually come from just ordinary people. And that's what really hits the hardest with this game, is that it really showcases the cruelty humans can inflict on each other. And one powerful moment early on that really drives us home, you meet an older woman caring for an infant whose parents have recently died. The tragedy isn't just the loss, it's that the child belongs to the opposing side of the conflict. So this woman has run out of milk, but she can't risk searching for more because if anyone discovered she was helping a baby from the other faction, they'd kill her, or maybe even kill the baby. It's an incredibly heavy situation, and moments like this make the game feel truly intense. The sounds and music all add to this, and there's an accessibility feature to turn on directional audio, which I turned on because sometimes I like to kick back and just play without my headset and just use the speakers, so this helps locate things in that case. The story begins with our main character Remy being interrogated by the suits. They want to know how he snuck into Hadia, which is the playable region for this game. It's supposed to be extremely difficult to get in and out of Hadia, and so Remy was able to do this, and now that he's captured, they want to know how he did it and why, so they give him this truth serum and he begins to talk. So what we're basically doing is going back in the past to uncover not only those questions, but figure out how Remy got caught in the first place and what these suits are up to. This brings me to a slight issue I have with the story. Remy sneaks back into Hadia to search for his parents, but these are characters we, as players, don't know or have any attachment to. And honestly, neither does Remy. His mother smuggled him out of Hadia as a child, so he doesn't even remember them. And because of that, I don't find this part of the plot very compelling. What is interesting though are the creatures and the mysterious suit guys, which are strong enough to keep me invested. The game starts off as a bit of a slow burn, but once you begin connecting the dots between the central event of these monsters and the narrative, everything becomes much more engaging. The clear strength of the game is the eerie atmosphere and its world building with an emphasis on no empty dialogue, just intel. There's a good amount of depth to the loadout system with active and passive relics, weapons and the glyphs for those weapons, and then the drone offers a good variety of abilities as well, and I also really enjoy the crafting. It is a nice touch. But the game does have some flaws. The enemy variety was my primary concern when playing through the demo, and that concern unfortunately remains. I'll admit it's a bit disappointing because you are fighting the same enemies over and over, and I do think it does hinder the combat system that is kind of impressive in many ways, and doesn't allow for you to take full advantage over everything the game gives you. And the other concern is actually with the main character, Remy. He's very one-dimensional in terms of his personality, Now, it makes sense because he is confirmed to be a sociopath, so the lack of emotions makes sense. I just think it makes for a pretty boring character. Overall, the world itself is interesting enough that I want to explore everything, and like I said earlier, this is a game that I will probably end up 100%ing because the mystery and the puzzles that come with it are very engaging and fun. So, is Hell Is Us worth checking out? If you enjoy dark and intense worlds and puzzle solving, then I think it's absolutely worth checking out. The combat system is by no means bad, I just think a few things hold it back from being great. That being the enemy variety and the movement feeling just a bit clunky. All in all, I'm really enjoying this game so far, and it's refreshing to have a title that respects its players' intelligence. Let me know what you guys think of the game, if you like what you see, or if you'll be passing on this one. I will also be streaming it, so if you want to talk more about the game or just see more gameplay, feel free to hop into the stream and hang out. But with that, take excellent care of yourself, call someone you love, and goodbye! Alright, so we're just outside the blacksmith shop, which is in the first zone that you get into right after like the very beginning, that what you saw in the demo. This is in the marshes. But I figured it would just be better just to show you guys kind of how the loadout and the crafting works in this game. So let's just go ahead and get into it. So when you open up your loadout here, you can carry 2 weapons. So far, I've seen there's axes, there's this sword, there's pole arms, and then there's a great sword. There could be more in the game that I haven't found yet, and then there's just the normal sword here too as well. You can equip up to 2 weapons on your character, and then moving to defensive gear, this is basically just gear. They give you better defense. So this one, remaining undamaged, will reduce the damage you take. I think I want to go with these new ones I just found though. With this limbic sphere of grief, we can go into grief a little bit. So strikes against you will replenish your limbic energy, which that's the energy needed to use the abilities for the weapons. So let's put that one on, and then let's also put these bracers on. So strikes against you will reduce the stamina cost of your next attack. So kind of just going with that theme of every time there's strikes against me, I get some benefit from it. There's also usable items here, so there's so many resources in the game that you can use. Let me just show you guys. Where are they at? Right here. So actually, we'll use this one now. There's tuning stones that basically grant XP for whatever weapon that you have currently equipped. So let's make sure I have... Okay, I have this sword equipped. Let's use it on that sword. Let me go. So let's move it to... Needs to be a usable item. So let's just get rid of... the food here for a second. Let's unequip that. Let's put on the tuning stone. And then we can toggle over to that tuning stone, pop it, and then look. So doing that just leveled up this weapon to level 11. That's nice. We're almost to the max level, which is 12, I believe, for that weapon. And then also in the loadout, you have active and passive relics. So a passive relic is, what it says. It is a passive ability for your character. So this one, retaliate with tremendous fury, increasing damage dealt after parrying. So every time that I parry an enemy, I will do more damage. And then you have an active relic, which you can think of these as like your ultimates. This one is, stuns all nearby enemies. So that one's pretty nice. And to activate the ultimate ability, you hold down L2 and you just hit circle. You can see it highlighted there. I don't have any glyphs on this weapon yet, but we'll do that in just a second. So in order to add glyphs to a weapon, which the glyphs are basically modifiers for your weapon, you can see on the axes here down at the bottom that I have a few of them equipped. The cool thing with this game when you go to craft. So let's go, we interact with this guy to craft.
What needs my attention?
Let's craft a weapon. Let's upgrade a weapon that we haven't upgraded. Let's do a polearm for fun. So these are just normal weapons to start. When you upgrade them, you get to choose a limbic sphere. So I already did, my axes are terror, my great sword is rage, and then that current sword that you guys saw was grief. So let's go with the ecstasy one. So let's make a polearm of ecstasy, Jesus.
I'm getting good.
And now I can apply any yellow glyphs that I find onto this weapon. So let's do that. We can upgrade it again. You see the shards over there if we wanted to upgrade it. We'll do one more upgrade, sure, for fun. And now we can go into our loadout here, and let's equip that polearm. Now we can add glyphs to it. So you can have up to 3 glyphs, but they have to be the color of whatever limbic sphere that you turn the weapon into. So because we're ecstasy, we have these 3 here, so let's do these. We can put these glyphs on it. So that's pretty much how you put glyphs on weapons. And let's actually do that because I haven't done it yet to my sword. So let's put grief, which is the blue ones. So a pool of deep sorrow unfurls around you, inflicting lingering damage to affected enemies. Nice. Endless waves of grief energy spill out of your weapon, tormenting limbic entities with heavy sorrow. It seems like 2 like damage over time effects there. And then I suffer great sorrow, so I suffer the damage over time, losing endurance in the process, but sharing the agony with nearby limbic entities and damaging them. We'll run that one too. So that's pretty much how the crafting works, and you can attune your defensive gear and make them better in here as well. So let's do this one since we have it equipped. You can preview the upgrade too if by holding on triangle. So that's basically gonna double the endurance bonus and damage absorption. So let's imbue that for sure. And let's go test some of this stuff out. All right, let's try out these new blue glyphs. I believe they're more range based. So let me actually make sure I'm healed here. That's good. Let's fight this guy. So I think this will be a range. Yeah, it's doing a little damage to him. Nice. And then what about the top button? And then what about the one where I take damage and so do they? Okay, so it like kind of pulses. Oh no, it's gonna kill me though. We gotta be up on top of them. I'm gonna die to my own ability. Stop it. Do more ranged. Oh, I can hold it. Nice. Okay, what about triangle? Charging it. We have to go after this guy though. Oh, that was big damage. So that was some of the blue glyphs. As you can see, I don't really know these glyphs going into it, so I kind of played like a noob there. But it looks like this one kind of like a ranged, like siphons their health from them, it seemed like. And then the triangle, we charge it up and just do a big pulse of damage. And then the bottom one that's not highlighted right now because we don't have enough to cast it, or we're not attacking somebody. I think we need to be attacking somebody. But it basically was doing pulses from me, but I was taking damage, but so was everything around me. Actually almost killed me, but we're good. Oh, there's also the abilities from the drones. I didn't do any of these, but I have Whirlwind equipped. Then I also have like a dash. It does big damage if that hits. And then this one you can equip to you and dodge further. That. Good for traveling too around the world quickly. But that's pretty much the combat. It's a few gripes with the combat. The movement's just a bit clunky, and the lock-on system is just a little weird. Like, so many times you have to fight the big colored node like things before you can fight the enemies that they're attached to. And sometimes my character just disconnects from that lock-on and moves to a different one. It's just a little clunky. That's really the only gripe. Like, it's a pretty good system. It's just it has some flaws to it. But yeah, that is the combat and crafting in, you know, very high level view.